Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Coastal Living. It feels so good to be back, and I'm ecstatic because we have a great show today. We're talking science, gardening. We have a local business helping people in our community and some healthy competition between CCPD and CCFD. You'll find out more about that on our show today. Stick around. It's Coastal Living.
Celebrating everything the Coastal Bend has to offer.
This is a great place to live, so let's talk about it.
Get the scoop on the latest trends, popular fashions, hottest music, exciting events, and so much more.
Come on, let's have some fun.
This is Coastal Living on KZTV. Now your host, Clarissa Serna.
And she's back, everybody! Look what you've done with the place.
Yes.
We got a makeover. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Coastal Living. It feels so good to be back. And I got to check in with you guys a couple times during the honeymoon, and y'all did such a great job.
Oh, well, thank you. Well, we certainly missed you. I know our viewers missed you. And I have to ask, how was the honeymoon?
It was awesome.
The wedding was beautiful. Tell us everything.
Thank you. Wedding was the absolute most amazing day of my life. Got to give big props to my mom, my aunts, my sister, and everyone else who sacrificed so much time and sleep to make it the day that it was. But it was gorgeous. I felt like a princess in my dress. My fiance surprised us with some really amazing performances. There's me getting my model on.
Absolutely
in my dress.
stunning.
The
Look
church
at you.
was beautiful. Thank you. It was just breathtaking. Our little one danced the night away.
Oh my goodness.
And he's actually trying to reenact his dad's performance. I'll come up once we get a legit video of it. I will show you guys. My fiance,
yes, please.
If you've seen him, or my husband, when he came on the show, was very kind of shy and timid. But man, he did a performance, and I was like, "Hello, what's your name?"
God. And I saw the performance. It was incredible. Everything was.
It was really great.
From the ceremony, the reception was. Everything was so magical.
And it flew by, just like everyone says, you know, to step back and take a look and kind of absorb everything because it does happen so quickly, and it really did. The night was over before we knew it. We got 2 hours of sleep. We flew to Dominican Republic the next morning. Missed our flight by 5 minutes.
No way.
They rescheduled us. They made it happen. We stopped in Miami, and then we went to Punta Cana, where we spent a week, and we did scuba diving, we did parasailing, and so much more. There's us in the water. Guys, if you've ever been scuba diving, you know what the first time is like, but it is super nerve-wracking.
How did you feel?
I get a really hardcore anxiety because you're forced to breathe through your mouth, and the oxygen's there. You just have to trust that it's going to keep helping you breathe. And then, of course, when you know you can't do something right, you want to do it more.
Oh, for
sure.
So
you can't breathe through your nose. So the whole time I was like sucking in air in my goggles, and it was really fun. And we got to see some really neat underwater life, you know, the coral reef. So I'm really excited for one of the segments we have today to elaborate a little bit more on that.
Oh, that's going to be great.
Husband got the flu for 3 days of the honeymoon, so he was sweaty and
He's feeling better?
He's much better. Yes.
Good.
So all in all, an amazing trip. You know, periodically, if you follow me on social media, I'll start posting. I was really surprised with myself. I kept off of social media, and we really enjoyed.
I did notice
that,
but the things that you would post, we all loved. I mean, it looked like a beautiful experience, especially
really
the scuba diving looked amazing.
Yes, and we had some concerns just because of the things that have happened in the past in Dominican Republic,
of course.
Lots of security. We felt really safe in our resort. People were very respectful. We felt really safe, and they're very clean. We went even on a hiking trip, and there were restrooms literally up in the mountain area that were cleaner than my restroom at home. So,
oh, wow.
Way to go, DR, for keeping everything nice and squeaky clean over there. But it was a great time. I could talk about it all day, and everyone here knows that, so I'm just going to zip it and move on. We have a show to do.
We're so happy to have you back, I have to say. We really missed you.
Well, I enjoyed seeing all the girl power on set. Speaking of which, it is March, which is National Women's History Month. This month, we are all encouraged to honor the women who came before us and fought for equality among all races and genders. Who are some women in your life that have influenced you?
Of course, I have to say my mother, my grandmother, and celebrities. I would have to say Viola Davis. What about you?
I'm still obsessed with Ellen. I feel like she's done so much. And of course, my mom, my sister, some of the really big people in my life.
Oh my goodness.
You know, not to go and try to name everybody that helped give me an education, but a lot of teachers, I think growing up, were really influential to me and really gave me a reason to feel like I should prove myself and kind of exceed my own expectations when it came to education. So educators, for sure. I think it's really important to give them some credit for all that they do
Oh
and tolerate.
yes, we've all had some great teachers in our lives.
Yeah, and they
I
shape
have
who we
too.
become.
Yes,
so,
ma'am.
Of course. So
Well,
yeah.
I can agree with you on that.
Girl power, all March we'll celebrate. Maybe
All
we can
March.
do like weekly segments.
Yes, and it's my birthday month. Oh my goodness.
I know, how exciting. So we'll have to figure out a way if you guys have some ideas for Jocelyn's
Oh no,
birthday
no,
celebration.
I shouldn't have even said anything, but let's just celebrate this month.
Yeah.
But for today, it's Super Tuesday and voting is in full effect. 14 states, including Texas, are holding primary elections. Each state will cast their votes for a presidential nominee today, and local coverage started on our sister station, Chris 6, on their Sunrise show this morning, and our reporters from KZTV and Chris 6 will be on site today as they will continue to have live reports and updates. So keep in mind that polls close at 7 p.m. in our area and your vote counts. So even if you get there at 7 p.m., you'll still be allowed to vote. So just keep that in mind that your vote counts, like I said, and this is important.
Yeah, and I think what I found out last year, 'cause I'm super guilty of not having practiced my right to vote for a long time, which is a shame because women especially have only been able to do it for so many decades now. But
Right.
it's really important to get out there. I know a lot of people who personally choose not to because they feel like their vote doesn't count, but that's the reason that you're not seeing that difference be made. You have to get out there and make the difference, and it counts at every election and every voting opportunity. But I did discover that you don't have to go to your area, that I think you can just vote anywhere. So
Right.
if there is a long line or, it's easier to just stop at a certain place on the way home from work, give it a shot, run in there and see if you can knock it out. It's all for the betterment of our future, for our
Right.
children, and who we are as a country. So
Exactly.
every vote counts, guys. You got to get out there and use your voice. All right?
That's
You're going
right.
to vote? We're going to vote. We should all go together.
We're going to vote, right.
And then
Let's
we'll
do
have
it.
tacos afterwards and talk about women that we love and more about my honeymoon. All right, guys. Well, we do have a really great show coming up today. We're going to talk about gardening, which we all know I'm really good at, a bull riding contest for a great cause, and we're learning how to tie-dye. Oh, yeah. Plus, we have a packed show full of really great things, but first we're going to take a deep dive to learn about science. Don't worry, we're going to make it really fun. See the creepy, crawly creatures that live in the deep sea next on Coastal Living. We'll be right back.
Glenn, can
Yes.
you say your name and count to 10 for a mic check?
Chuck Blend, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Thank you, sir.
You're
Now, back to Coastal Living on KZTV.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Coastal Living. I'm very intrigued by our next topic. We're going to visit with Chuck Blend to learn about parasites and some of these deep sea creatures, which are not alive, unfortunately, anymore. But I did see some of these in action while I was underwater.
Excellent.
On my honeymoon. So tell me a little bit about the specimens that you brought with us today.
Well, these specimens represent two groups of critters, folks. We have deep sea fish and we have parasites.
Okay.
And so I research and I look and study parasites of deep sea fish. So
Interesting.
that's what they are, deep sea and parasites.
All right. Are they related?
Well, they are, of course, all animals that we see here. There's no plants represented on this table. But typically what you find is you have these guys inside these bigger guys, or on the surface of those bigger guys.
Okay. And parasite, scary word. Tell me what exactly is a parasite?
Well, a parasite, it's probably easier to describe as a parasitism. We describe, or a parasitism is an intimate, heterospecific association, temporary or permanent, where one partner is metabolically dependent on another partner. And I'll explain that. Intimate, there's some physical contact. Heterospecific, we're talking two different species. And there's some metabolic dependency, where the parasite is metabolically dependent on the host.
Okay.
And so if I were to ask you, is an unborn child in the womb a parasite?
It is dependent on its mother to survive.
It is
yeah.
dependent.
You don't want to call it that once it's alive, because it might get its feelings hurt.
My parents always called me a parasite. People ask, why do you want to study parasites? Well, when your parents always called you, no, just kidding. But the point is that it is an intimate relationship, but is it heterospecific? Are we talking two different species here?
Oh, okay, no.
So no.
Interesting.
A lot of parents
You
might
think
feel that
so
their
once
kids
they
are
come out,
parasitic.
yeah. Where did you come from? This thing isn't human.
So it is not a parasite, but all the stuff you hear about in the news, the coronavirus and stuff, coronavirus, a virus is a parasite.
Interesting, and I want to dive into that a little bit more in a second. But tell me, what is it that got you into this? You mentioned your joke earlier, but what is it that really got you excited about?
Well, growing up, I was always interested in science, Larissa, and I never really knew what branch of science to get into. I grew up watching and reading. I devoured just about everything Carl Sagan ever wrote. And, back in the early 80s, late 70s with Cosmos, the TV series. But it wasn't until I had high school biology that I really fell in love with biology as a science. I had a wonderful high school teacher, Miss Miriam Giller-Smith. I went to school in Dallas, and she's still a mentor for me. I went to school at Port Aransas, the Marine Lab, back in the 80s, and just taking courses. And that's where I really focused in on deep sea stuff. I didn't develop an interest in parasites until my master's program. I went to A&M Gig'em up in College Station, and I had he's my second father, Dr. Norman Dronin, and he taught me everything I know. But what's interesting is it's sort of Star Trekian, if I can nerd out a little bit.
Well, the way that you're talking does sound like another language to most of us. I know I'm kind of like with all those big words.
Don't ever challenge me at Scrabble.
I wouldn't dare. I'd be like, dog. 3 points. Awesome. So I think that's really interesting, though, when you're talking about the educators, which you mentioned earlier, how teachers can be so impactful in our lives, especially for such a unique profession. Like, I don't think as a kid you're like, oh, when I grow up, I want to specialize in parasites. But it's something that you developed over the years, and it all started with an interest in science, which is great. So we need to nurture those interests that our children have at young ages and allow them to be interested in these things. So is it true? It's Parasite Week?
It is Parasite Week.
How do we celebrate Parasite Week?
Well, Parasite Week, just the idea is we want people to be aware of parasites and their impacts on our lives. A lot of times they may be out of sight, out of mind, but of course right now they're in many people's minds of what's going on. But I'm a member of the American Society of Parasitologists. That is our sort of umbrella group for parasitology in this country. And about this time every year, they do Parasite Week, where parasitologists do activities like this, outreach to teach the public about parasites and their prevalence. My colleagues all this week are Skyping with kids in classrooms all over the country and teaching them about parasites and parasitism.
And probably inspiring some young kiddos to pursue a career in this.
I hope so.
And as you mentioned earlier, it's important because you said the coronavirus is a parasite. That's all everybody's talking about right now, and especially the flu as well, because that's going around like wildfire. So tell me how that correlates and why it's so important, because we need to understand how unseen but relevant and present parasites are.
Well, parasitism is the most common mode of life on Earth. Most people think of the protestin guys like African sleeping sickness or malaria, but also you have your arthropods, ticks, lice, and mites. This little guy, a little tick here,
Yeah, if you
carries
have a ranch,
Lyme's
you're
disease.
very familiar with those guys.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the worms, those are the types that I study, Clarissa. Flukes, tapeworms, roundworms. But if you go back to that definition, we also, when you talk about heterospecificity, you're talking about an intimate relationship, physical contact, and you're talking about metabolic dependency. Bacteria, viruses, fungi, they fall under that definition as well, which makes parasitism by far the most common mode of life on the planet.
Very, very
So,
interesting.
And the irony I tell my colleagues is, the deep sea is the most common environment on the planet, and I study the most common mode of life in the most common environment on the planet. And I have colleagues that have told me, Chuck, nobody does what you do, deep sea parasitology. So it's exciting.
Absolutely.
But it is important to understand or be aware of parasites because coronavirus is a parasite. I brought this one forth. This is Ebola. Everybody knows what Ebola is. It's a filovirus. It's thread-like or looped-like, so it's a philo or filovirus as an example. But a coronavirus that's going around right now, that is a parasite, and it's important that we pay attention and follow guidelines. And I always tell people, wash your hands. Soap and water, 20 minutes.
All the time.
That's the best thing you can do to keep from getting parasites.
Absolutely.
Number one thing is wash your hands.
Yes, big time. And guys, not just when the coronavirus is around, just all the time, please wash your hands after the restroom.
Cover your cough,
Yeah,
stuff like
a couple
that.
times a day, cover your cough, and shaking hands, things like that. Especially now, you just kind of want to be a little more like, fist bump, friend, yep. Little one of those, little psh, action afterwards, it's fine, same effect. And so tell me, you've got these stuffed animals, which makes me a little bit more receptive to what you're saying. Is this what you use to relay the message to children and help them understand
Absolutely.
what parasites are?
You're holding in your hand, in your left or your right hand, you're holding probably the most common intestinal parasite in North America, that's Giardia.
in your
And in
tummy.
your left hand, you're holding malaria, which is one of the most infamous parasites that kills many people each year. It's a
Interesting.
little easier to get people to understand parasites when you don't have live specimens, especially things like that.
Yeah, well, comparing this to say like this little guy.
Yeah,
Which one looks friendlier? Which neither one are friendly, right? But I did get to see a couple of these underwater. So you specifically, we know that these are on the surface. These are on land. What type of parasites are we looking at underwater?
Well, underwater organisms get the same parasites. They're different taxonomically, but they get protestin, the little guys. They get worms, the wormy, flukes, tapeworms, roundworms.
Really?
And
Underwater?
Underwater, absolutely. Their life cycles are evolved.
So an
and they've-
octopus can have a tapeworm.
Well,
Or a
yes,
ringworm.
well, it can have parasites.
Okay.
Specifically, it is possible to have certain types of parasites, depending on what it is, a host organism. But yeah, I've come across deep sea fish that are loaded.
Yeah.
They are full of parasites.
Poor guys. Well, it is a creepy crawly world under there. I'm speaking from personal experience. And tell us where we can learn more from you.
Well, the best place to learn about parasites is to go to a bookstore or go online and just Google parasites. You can also visit the American Society of Parasitologists homepage at amsocparasit.org. I also want to say that my wife and I are certified Texas Master Naturalists. It's a wonderful way to learn about nature and parasites. There are 40-something chapters all over the state. We're in the South Texas chapter. We meet the third Tuesday of every month at the Botanical Gardens.
Great.
You can check them out at txmn.org/ST for South Texas chapter.
Awesome.
And finally, of course, I help out. I'm a resident scholar at the Corpus Christi Museum of Science and History, right up the street,
Great.
working in their natural history collections. And you can learn about them and the programs that we offer. I give planetarium shows several Saturdays a month. I love astronomy and space. And check out ccmuseum.com for that.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for joining
Thank
us
you,
today.
Clarissa.
I know some light bulbs went off in our parents' heads like, okay, my little science kid might need to meet you so they can get more inspired and
Absolutely.
continue their career in this very interesting topic. So thank you so much for joining us today.
You're welcome.
We learned a lot.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
All right, guys, now coming up next, you may not be a master gardener, but we do have some folks here to tell us how easy it is to get a green thumb. We'll be right back on Coastal Living.
Deb?
Mic check.
Yep, just talk. Say, what's your name?
We have literally something. Can you say your name, sir?
Kevin Gibbs.
Now, back to Coastal Living on KZTV.
All right, everyone, welcome back to Coastal Living. Please welcome our next guests who are going to prepare us for spring gardening. Kevin Gibbs with Texas A&M AgriLife and Deb Holliday, a certified master gardener. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having us today.
Well, I don't know if y'all heard, but I've really got a green thumb. Just kidding. Anyone who watches the show know that I can't keep a plant alive for the life of me. But spring is around the corner. A lot of us are looking at our flower beds. They're kind of needing some love, some cleanup, and maybe some new life. So tell us, what do we have to look forward to and how can we do that?
Well, the first things to do is see what needs to be done. You've got to get those beds cleaned out. You know, one of the things I tell people all the time is don't go buy plants until those beds are good to go.
Oh.
And so get out. We're all guilty of buying stuff and having it there, and we don't get the beds cleaned out, and next thing we know, our plants are still sitting there and they're dying.
Absolutely. Well,
So
those impulse buys,
get the
right?
beds cleaned out and get everything ready to go. Pull those weeds out. Pull the grasses out and maybe add some organic matter to it and get it in good shape. What do you think, Deb?
I think composting or adding some organic matter like cow manure or what's that, cotton burr compost? Those are all
That's a
good
great
things
product.
to amend and dig into your soil so that your plants get a good start. And yeah, some of us tend to go to the garden stores and fall in love with plants.
Every time I go to H-E-B, I'm like, I need this one.
And we take them home, and then for the next 6 weeks, our husband is saying, when are you going to get those in the ground?
Yes.
So,
Exactly. And it's tough too because really some of them aren't meant to stay in those pots. They look very beautiful when you buy them, but at some point they do need more soil, they need more love. So how do we, well, you mentioned preparing our beds. Are we like tilling the soil? Are we removing the soil, adding new? You mentioned fertilizer.
Well, there's a couple of ways that you can do it. Most of us choose to do it by just turning the soil over with the shovel.
Okay, so just a little flipper.
But if it's a big area, you can use a tiller. And there is a movement now going to no-till, and you just remove all the weeds and stuff, and then you plant straight in that way.
Okay.
Now would probably be a good time to do a soil test as well.
How do you do that?
You can actually do it through Texas A&M AgriLife. You can just contact our office and pick up a kit, or you can go online and print out the forms that you need. And it's a simple process. I can send you all the information on how to collect a soil test, and
Great.
you probably want to do that about every 2 years, two to 3
make
years
sure
here,
that you're
to just give you some idea of what nutrients you've got in the soil.
that's true. When you add compost to your soil in the springtime, your plants are eating that up so they can give you the nutrition when they get ripe.
Sure.
And so you do want to check and see if your soil does need some amendment. And regardless of whether you're growing in sand or you're growing in clay, we all need amendments
Yes.
to correct the problems
Well,
with
that
our
was my next
soil.
question because, you know, is it different, or is there a different type of soil that you need when you live on the island versus maybe out in the country or in the city? We're working with different types of...
There's a simple answer to that. Pretty much the solution to helping any soil is to add organic matter.
Okay.
So just
That's
keep
a proper term
keep-
for
for
cow dung.
compost, for anything that has been put into a pile and allowed to decompose is organic matter.
Okay,
If
and
it-
I'd really love to have y'all back and talk about natural compost because it's interesting to me, but I'm just not
This
sure
is-
my
this
husband
your
would allow me
compost lady
to.
right
Oh,
here.
yeah, I went through an advanced training on composting. Happy to help.
Great. Well, we look forward to that on a different day. Now, you mentioned the plants providing us with nutrients. You're talking about starting possibly a garden with some fruits and herbs that we can eat. So how do we go about that? It's something I've always wanted to do. Do we start small? Do we keep them in pots until we know we're good at it?
I think that it's a good idea to do a little bit of research. What is it that you like to eat and that your family will eat? And so kind of doing a little bit of research on the Aggie-Horticulture site is a good place to start because there are plant lists specific to Nueces County that tell us what varieties to grow and the times of the year that's the right time to plant them. Planting them in the right place at the right time, and if you're going to use them. There's also the economic factor. I mean, certain plants like cilantro, for instance, has a very short life in our area.
So it's not you, it's the cilantro.
Yeah, So, and think about the price in the grocery store. Some things come into season and they're very inexpensive at the grocery store, and so it's economical to buy those things at the grocery store. But the thing that's really good about growing your own is you can grow things organically and you know where they came from. You don't have to worry about the risk
Parasites.
of parasites.
Yes, it's all tying together.
Good for you. Exactly. So you do need to do a little bit of research, and then the number of people that you're going to be feeding will help you to determine how many plants you're going to buy as well.
Sure.
So, but you know what? If you see something that strikes your fancy, go ahead and experiment with it, because gardening is a matter of trial and error. And sometimes things do really well one year and not so great the next year.
That's the way the coastal bend is.
Yes.
Great. Well, it's really helpful to know that we do have these resources. You can't just assume that you have this all-knowing brain that knows how to do everything like I think I do. But we have these resources. So one more time, give me the website that we can go to learn more.
It's Aggie Horticulture. So if you just go into Google and you type in Aggie Horticulture, it'll pull it right up for you.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for coming and enlightening us, prepping us for spring. I know we're looking forward to all those beautiful flowers and maybe starting our own garden. I know that's on my to-do list when I get my first home, so I'm very excited
quite beautiful.
for that. Absolutely beautiful, and I'm going to go home and put these all in one bowl of soup and see what it tastes like. Thank y'all for joining us today. All right, coming up, are you interested in putting yourself or a loved one in assisted living or maybe a memory care community? Well, we've got some friends here to tell us more and answer some questions for you when we return on Coastal Living.
You're watching Coastal Living on KZTV, the only lifestyle show made in the Coastal Bend for the Coastal Bend.
Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
If you could say your name and consent for a mic check. If you'll
Stephane.
Sure.
Okay, and count to 10.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Say your name and consent for a mic check.
Emily.
And
I was
count
wondering
to
if
10.
I. Sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Vanessa.
Now, back to Coastal. Now, back to Coastal Living on KZTV.
Welcome back, everyone. You're watching Coastal Living. Please welcome our next guest of Alon Corpus Christi Assisted Living and Memory Care Senior Community, Stephane. Got it right?
Yes.
All right.
Stephane.
She is the executive director, and we have Emily here, the community relations director at Alon. And tell us a little bit about Alon Corpus Christi.
So Alon Corpus Christi is an assisted living and memory care where our mission is passionate care, passionate service, and passionate cleanliness.
Wonderful. And I know a lot of people out there, you know, it's a part of life, right? We get a little bit older, we need a little bit of help. And unfortunately, as adults, when our parents are put in these situations, or maybe even people that are younger suffering from memory loss and memory issues, you just don't have it in your schedule to give them all the care that they need. So that's where you all come into play, right?
Absolutely.
So tell me why, I'd love to hear people's why. Tell me why you're so passionate about working here.
Well, we believe passion is the pulse of what we do, right? It drives us and gives us the energy to fulfill what we believe is our purpose, to serve residents, to serve our seniors. We want to provide the best quality of service and care and give them the best quality of life possible.
Absolutely. How about yourself?
I would say exactly the same. Again, it's about serving our seniors here in our local community. It's really important. And again, just as adults, making sure that our parents are in good care, and if we can't provide that, that we can, have a community that we can have that available for them.
Absolutely.
So,
and we've all heard the horror stories about senior living, so I think it's great to have you on the show because you get to know who's in charge around here, what's their story, put a face with the company's name, and know that you really are truly passionate about the people in your community, which is so important. So I know we have some people inspired now. Tell us about the apartments and the amenities that you have available.
Absolutely. So they're senior lifestyle apartments. The nice thing about it is we provide the 24-hour care for our residents. So that's the daily activities like bathing, grooming, dressing, housekeeping, laundry. And so it's really important that we let our folks know that we provide that care for them. And so it also helps with our families to know that they have peace of mind, that they're in good hands. The nice thing about our apartments is they have a kitchenette in there. So you still have that sense of independence. And the nice thing too is we also provide chef prepared meals.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's really, really nice. And we have activities for them. And it's just a great space for them to know that this is their home.
Nice. Sounds a lot like the all-inclusive resort that I was
Exactly.
So not a bad deal. And from the pictures we just saw, it looks very homey. You don't get that hospital senior living feel. It's
Not at all.
like in a little apartment.
Exactly.
Wonderful. And what is the daily life like for someone who stays with you all?
You want to go ahead and
Well,
share
we do,
that?
like she was saying, we do have daily activities, a number of them, and they stimulate all different areas, so psychological and physical. We do Ageless Grace, and we're, moving every morning. One of the great things about our activities department is that we have an app for smartphones for families.
Okay.
So they can download that and they can interact with our residents as far as we know. They know who's attending what activities. We can take a picture and send it to the families. They can look at our upcoming calendar and say, oh, we're going to do this outing. I want to attend that. So it's really interactive and a way for the families to be involved in our lives every day if they can't be there, because they can't always be there.
Exactly.
But they can at least watch and see what mom or dad is doing.
Definitely. Well, that sounds like something that sets you apart from any other living community, because I've never heard of an app that allows you to really interact and check in, because you'll be in the middle of your day like, I wonder how mom's doing.
Yes.
And then it's stuck with you, and it's gonna if I'm thinking about it so much, I just need to check in. Another busy day, the kids have games, what do I do? So it's an opportunity, like you said, to check in or make plans to join them for one of their special events. So you mentioned in the morning we've got physical activity every day.
Every day.
Does it vary? Are we doing like Zumba and yoga and all different types of things?
Absolutely. We have chair volleyball. We have Zumba Gold come in.
Cool.
We're doing lots of entertaining and happy hours and outings. We interact and we do a lot of intergenerational activities with other schools and the daycares, to where we have readings, or they come over and the Girl Scouts interact with us. So
awesome.
yeah, we really like to make sure that we have a well-rounded activities department, to where because every resident is different, and they all have different requests and different desires and things that make them feel special, like painting or whatever it may be. So
well, and that's the kind of stuff that keeps you young. I think it's everybody says when you stop moving is when you start to age. So as long as you're staying active in some way, shape, or form, it's very important. Speaking of active, we hope that you all at home are interested or intrigued. We're also able to help people with memory loss issues, but you all have a special to share with us. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so we're big supporters of the military, and so we have a military discount going on for our veterans.
Awesome.
So we want to make sure we let our families know that that's available, and so for them to reach out to us so we can share more about that. We've got so many veterans that are affected by Alzheimer's and dementia, and just again, just as you age, you just start needing those assistance with those kind of daily activities. So being able to know that we have that available, and also peace of mind for the family, because again, when you're thinking about your loved one, you want to make sure that again, they're in good hands. They're in a clean, comfortable environment, and they are being served by people that really care about them.
Absolutely. Well, I love your story. I love your passion behind this wonderful place. So I hope that you all are interested in finding out more. Give them a call, and don't forget to mention that Veteran Special, but you can schedule a tour today, 371-8157. Thank you, ladies, so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. I need to get in there and do some Zumba with them.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. Coming up next, have you ever been on a bull ride? Well, this next event is taking bull riding to a whole nother level. It's for a great cause, and it involves the police department and the fire department. Find out more when we return on Coastal Living.
Is a mechanical ball.
Yes. It's my first time.
Yeah, thank God. Ernest.
Sean. Steve.
Just Ernest.
Oh, Ernest, say your name and count.
Ernest. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Thank you. And Sean, if you could say your name and count to 10.
Sean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Steve. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Welcome back, everyone. It's time to get out your cowboy hats because we're going bull riding. Yeehaw! Please welcome Stephen McMains with the Cattle Barons Ball, and we also have representatives from CCPD and CCFD. Please welcome Ernest and Sean. Thank you all for joining us today.
Thanks for having us.
Okay, so we're excited. You guys are really calm for how competitive I would expect to see you, but we still have some time, right? Tell me, Stephen, about the Cattle Barons Ball.
Yes, so Cattle Barons Ball is basically the American Cancer Society's the biggest local fundraiser we have here in Corpus Christi. There are several events to it, but it's going to take place April 4th, 2020 out at the Richard Borchardt Fairgrounds. One of the revenue enhancers, one of the things that happens at the event that we've started is a bull riding contest. So it kind of started last year with where we first pitted the fire department versus the police department. And so we're trying to expand on it a little bit this year. So we're bringing it back. It was a great competition last year. The rider that lasted the longest was from the fire department last year.
All right. So they're holding the title.
But we've changed it up a little bit this year.
Okay.
So our website launched for this event about a week ago. And so there are two different aspects to the event this year. One is there's an award for the department that raises the most money. And then two, we have a belt buckle like we had last year for the rider that rides the longest.
Okay.
So the website's already up and it's already going. So, and actually PD is on the board first with the $50 donation yesterday.
Ooh, all right, guys, so it's time to start donating. And we were talking about this before. You don't have to plan on or be present at the Cattle Barons Ball in order to help donate. Obviously, it's for a great cause, and you can donate as little as $10, you mentioned?
Correct, yeah. If you go to the website, it's corpuscbb.com, and then you can click on the bull riding contest. It is increments of $10, and so this is specifically we wanted to be able to have something that people could get involved in if they can't make the event, can't attend. And so that way you can donate as little as $10 to whatever department you want to help represent.
Okay, and so let's talk to our competitors here. Both of you will be participating this year, correct?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
we will.
Okay, Ernest, you've done this before, right?
No.
You have not. Okay, so who's done this before?
This will be new for me.
It's
This
new.
will be new
for
for
both
me
of you.
as well.
Okay, I thought you had some experience, Ernest. So, guys, are you nervous? I mean, everyone's going to be looking at you. You're supposed to be these big, tough guys saving the world.
Of course, it'll all be out there. It'll be fun. It'll all be a friendly competition. There will be some nervousness, not to hurt our pride.
Sure.
So being that we don't go flying off, but it'll be fun. The nerves will be they'll be in check. It'll be okay.
Absolutely. Now, I'm sure y'all are really training super heavily for this event. Sean, tell me what you're doing to prepare for this.
We have a couple practice sessions that we're planning on doing.
Yeah?
With real bulls at the ranch, so.
Oh my gosh,
kidding.
can you imagine?
No, we're trying to get some practice sessions in for it.
Okay, so yes, it's going to be fun to watch our fire department and police department have a friendly competition, but the whole point of it is to help raise money for a great cause. So you all want to let our viewers know why they should donate on your behalf and vote for their team?
Well, we hold the title this year, so of course we're going to try and keep that. We always like coming together with the police department for the betterment in our community in order to raise funds. Especially, we've all had family members or loved ones that have been hit by this cancer, and of course this is our part of being able to give back in order to raise funds for the community.
Absolutely. Well, we want to encourage everyone to go out there and support if you can. Otherwise, you're able to donate, and it's all for a great cause and fun to watch. Will we be able to watch if we're not at the Cattle Barons? Will we have some of this documented for our friends at home?
We're actually really upping production level at this event this year, so we will have some recorded highlights we'll be able to put out in our social media platforms and share with y'all.
Great. We are looking forward to that, guys. CCFC and CCPD, who can ride the bull the longest? You vote by visiting
CorpusCBB.com.
CorpusCBB.com.
And then just click on the bull riding contest.
Okay, all right. So go place your vote, guys. I'm sure you all have all your brothers voting if they're not participating, right?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so let's help raise money for a great cause. Thank you all for joining us today, and I look forward to attending the Cattle Barons Ball this year, so I'll be out there cheering for you guys.
And you'll be performing.
Yes, I'll be singing the national anthem. It's the least I can do for such a great cause and awesome event, but I do look forward to that part. That's going to be fun. All right, thank y'all for joining us today. Guys, coming up next, we have a groovy good time learning how to tie-dye, and you don't want to miss it. We'll be right back on Coastal Living. Want to be featured on Coastal Living? Post a pic on our Facebook or Instagram. We'll be right back on Coastal Living.
Welcome back, everyone. Well, today is National Anthem Day, and do you know the history of our national anthem? Well, stay right where you are, because I'm going to tell you. The Star-Spangled Banner was written by Francis Scott Key. He wrote the lyrics on September 14th, 1814, during the Battle of Fort McHenry in the War of 1812. There were many patriotic songs, but the Star-Spangled Banner was one that struck at the heart of Americans and gained popularity over the years. On March 3rd, 1931, President Herbert Hoover signed a congressional resolution officially making the Star-Spangled Banner the national anthem of the United States of America. So on this special day, proudly fly the USA flag at your home and place of business, and take this as an opportunity to sing the national anthem or listen to it being sung, and for chances to show your patriotism. I may ask Clarissa to sing it to me later on today. All right, well, coming up, we're going to teach you how to tie-dye. It's going to be a groovy time. Stick with us. We'll be right back.
Now, back to Coastal Living on KZTV.
Welcome back, everyone. You're watching Coastal Living. Now we got a cool Kids Corner segment for you all. We did something that's a little bit messy. So we have some friends you may recognize from a previous segment here on Coastal Living. They've been here before to promote their mermaid tribe. Wesley and Christian went out of their way to set us up for the perfect tie-dye session. They're going to teach us how to tie-dye. Check it out.
Hi, welcome to the Shack. Thanks for joining us for a tie-dye class. We are about to dive right in and show you guys how to make a tie-dye tee.
First off, we're going to start with the supplies you're going to need. You can get a tie-dye kit. You can either get it, I think Walmart sells them, or Amazon does for sure.
We got this one off of Amazon.
Yeah.
I think it was like $60, but it does way more than just one t-shirt. We carry a bunch of tie-dye here in the shop, and we're excited to show you how we do it. So,
your gloves, you're going to need those for sure. Some water. We're using bottled water for this, but you can use tap water.
just to fill your little bottles up.
Just to fill these bottles up. Rubber bands, obviously, to put them around the shirt to hold it still. Wow.
And this needs to be cotton based so it will soak up the dye. We've tried it on a few other fabrics and cotton.
Cotton is the way to go.
All right.
You want to put your gloves on,
Get
Mama?
the gloves on.
Put the gloves on.
Let's do it. And now we're gonna put rubber bands just so the dye doesn't get down into the glove. I like to put it on my wrist. And now we're going to actually fill the bottles. So we're going to be taking the lids off, one by one. But you leave a little gap, that way you can shake it up because there's powder down inside there. So you're gonna shake each bottle. About like that.
And you want to go ahead and fill all your bottles first.
Yeah, about like that. Okay, so when you're shaking your last bottle, you're going to set them all to one area so we can swirl up the shirt. So you're gonna take your tea, take your rubber bands, lay the tea out kind of flat, and you're gonna wanna pinch the area where you want your swirl to start. So typically it's in the middle, a little bit high middle, like breast area. Swirl it just like that. You wanna show them close? Swirl it just like that. You're gonna wanna get it pretty tight. And then this part I may need some help for. Do you wanna do the tripod? Okay. So we're going to stretch the rubber band over the tea. We're going to be making triangles like a pizza pie. So you just go diagonal all the way across. It's definitely okay for it to be a little bit messy. That's what creates some of these really beautiful lines and the mix of color.
So you can't really mess it up. It's tie-dye. One of the key factors is make sure you saturate each piece of pie, like this one, then this one, and so on.
And I'm actually gonna go back and tuck some of these like actual loose edges. Try to tuck them into the rubber band a little bit. So I will start in one section. And you're gonna kind of massage it in, make sure it gets all the way soaked. If there's little folds, you flip them over. If you want more white space, just put less. I kind of like a fully saturated look like the shirt I'm wearing, so I just try to get it as thick as possible.
And I like the opposite. I like to personally wear some white shines through it.
Yeah, everybody's different, so you can have a little bit of fun with it. Tie-dye is super unique. Every single shirt is different. So you can put some personality to it. You're gonna wanna do both sides of the pie. Yes, and you'll see you're definitely not going to use, this kit does way more than one shirt, so I'll probably only end up using half the yellow bottle. So someone else could have definitely shared. Definitely an activity for friends. All right.
Just keep in mind, you know, while you're doing it, there's going to be color that gets onto your mat or whatever, and just to make sure you clean it up in between each color. If you don't, it's going to get on each section you're doing, and you don't really want a lot of color overlaying into each section. It's not going to damage or ruin the shirt, but it's not going to give it each pattern its own little section.
All right. And our last color is pretty dark. This one's like a midnight blue. Okay. So once you've got it completely saturated, looking something like this, you're going to put it in a plastic bag. Let it soak overnight, 24 hours, depends on how deep you want the color. So the end result is going to look something like this. Of course, you'll have those white spots depending on how well you saturated it. You can see a couple of white in the shirt I did. Other than that, each one's going to be unique and really fun, so just play around with it. Again, thanks for joining us at the Shack for a little tie-dye tutorial. Peace out.
How fun! That looks really cool. cool, and it's definitely on my to-do list for spring and summer with my little one. Make plans to try it with yours. Thank you, Wesley and Christian. All right, guys, we're closing up the show. When we come back, stick around. It's Coastal Living. Thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye.